That's not good.
Have you used this before?
No. That's not good.
Oh. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. We have in the room with us today Molly Dugan, Alex Worth, Christina Tucker, Bayo Adendunji, Helen Coop, Ramona Conkle, Melissa Desi, Grayla Renault, Lauren Gilwee, and Melissa Zervos. Terry couldn't be with us this morning. He will be joining us a little bit later. But I wanted to let you know that we have a special guest today, Lauren Gilwee, who is going to have a discussion with us about the Language Access Program. But I'd like to start off this morning before the GED topics and give you just an update. The update for adult education has to do with finances. So as you know, the financial status report is due on January 31st, and it is completed and submitted by your organization's finance office. While this report is not the direct responsibility of you, but of your fiscal agent, it is important that you receive and review the report at this mid-year time of the grant period. This is a very important time because this is a time that you have to evaluate your spending and to determine if there are budget items that will require amendments. It's also important to monitor the spending of your state funds. Too often, state funds are returned at the end of the grant period, and these funds are reverted, meaning that they're sent back to the state. And when funds are sent back to the state, it gives an indication that there is no need for the amount of money that we request on a yearly basis. So these funds are usable for 12 months, whereas the federal funds are usable for 27 months. So when local programs have unused federal funds, we are able then to reallocate those funds in the next period, and we call that carryover. While this information is not new to you, still programs have unspent state funds. We received unspent state funds again this year, which is the reason why it's imperative that you review the report that's coming in at the end of the month. So you can work with your dollar grant manager on any budget amendments that you would like to make. And I also would like to remind you that in March, you are supposed to submit any indication of unused funds. Are there any questions? Okay, we're going to move on to GED updates.
Good morning, everybody. This is Molly. I have a GED announcement, which is primarily for your passers, those people who have earned a diploma, and those people who have previously earned a diploma. Effective February 1st, 2018, Maryland will transition its credentialing process from the issuance of paper transcripts and diplomas to a paperless, web-based credentialing system. As with any new process, there will be changes and questions and details about the processes, which will be forthcoming. Information about accessing the new e-transcripts will be issued via email to all Maryland passers who will log on to their accounts to obtain access to their reusable transcripts and diplomas. Current testers may request a paper copy of their diplomas, and one Maryland high school diploma will be sent to them for free. The diploma has the same signature, state seal, etc. as our current diploma and is very similar to the one currently issued by the GED office at Dollar. Transcripts will no longer be able to be picked up in person after January 31st, 2018 from the Maryland GED office. And for the first time, replacement high school diplomas will become available to our recipients from GEDTS credentialing service at $15 per diploma. Current testers, that is those from 2014 and to the present and forward, will use their MyGED accounts to log in and order duplicates. Paper-based testers will create an account at GED credentialing and do the same thing. Stakeholders will be receiving announcements and further information as we get closer to the actual transition date of February 1st. So we thought it was important that you knew that, and we will be notifying as many of the other stakeholders as we can think of. Make sure that this is information is across the board, and our website will be posting that the coming change as well. So I think it's important that you know and your staff is aware that there is a change in the processing of diplomas and transcripts. Thank you.
Next up is Lauren. Lauren, scoot down. This is Lauren Gilweek with the Language Access Plan information.
Hi, good morning. This is Lauren. For those who don't know me, I'm the New Americans Initiative Coordinator here at Dollar, and I work in the Office of the Assistant Secretary, which is right across the hall from the Adult Ed staff. So I'm here today to talk about the Language Access Plan, which is currently in a draft phase, and just try to plug away about the plan so that perhaps we can get some responses from the field while the plan is open during a comment period. So I just want to give you a little background about why the LAP, Language Access Plan, was developed. We started drafting the plan here at Dollar this summer. And there are really three things that the plan was developed pursuant to. The first is Section 188 of WIOA, which has to do with non-discrimination. A language access plan is not required for states receiving funding under WIOA, but it is highly encouraged. And Maryland, you know, in terms of trying to enhance customer service for all of our students, we really did decide to do it this summer. Again, it was encouraged and we took it on. There's also state law about service to limited English proficient individuals that has been on the books in our state for over a decade. So the plan is also developed pursuant to those regulations. Lastly, we have an Office of Fair Practices here at Dollar that oversees non-discrimination issues for both Dollar staff and any customers or students served with Dollar funds or workforce funds. The Office of Fair Practices has a limited English proficiency plan that all divisions within Dollar have to adhere to, and they are actually working on editing their plan right now, and the new version is in a draft phase. So the language access plan that we're working on also is pursuant to what the overall Dollar plan says. The one that I've been working to develop is for DWDAL, which is our Division of Workforce Development and Adult Learning, and then also for our Division of Unemployment Insurance. So our plan will be a response to the overall Dollar Office of Fair Practices plan. Additionally, this summer, the Office of the Assistant Secretary and the Office of Fair Practices have been working on a required plan for WIOA recipients, and that is a non-discrimination plan. That includes some pieces related to LEP, or Limited English Proficient Individuals, but also has non-discrimination planning in it for other things, including those with disabilities. Okay, so what exactly will this plan mean for the Title II adult education sites? There's a couple of bulleted items here that I think will perhaps be the biggest impact to how you're currently serving students or how you're doing business. The first is oral interpretation services. So the plan will go into when it is appropriate to use multilingual staff for interpretation, or when you can have volunteers assist a student if they're coming in for something like registration. It also goes over when is a good opportunity to utilize telephone interpretation services or certified in-person interpreters. The plan actually lists the state of Maryland vendors that the Department of Budget and Management has procured for our state. And as recipients of Title II funding, I've already checked into it, and all of our sites would be eligible to utilize these existing agreements. You just have to work with Department of Budget and Management to get a code, but you would not actually have to procure a vendor on your own if you didn't want to. You wanted to utilize the one that the state has already provided. Another implication will be vital documents translation. The plan goes into depth in explaining what a vital document is. There are different definitions, although a lot of them are similar, from WIOA to our state law to what Dollar's Office of Fair Practices define as a vital document. To me, I think the biggest indication is anything a student has to sign is for sure a vital document. And the plan really goes through what that might mean at your site. But for example, registration forms would definitely be something that a student has to have access to linguistically when they sign it. So that is also in the plan. The next bullet is about identifying LEP status and notifying those individuals of language assistance services. So the plan talks about how somebody can actually be defined as LEP, goes through strategies for that, assessments that are appropriate, or student self-identification, and then how to let your student population know that interpretation or translation services are available for those that are either coming for ESL or GED programming. The next bullet is about monitoring language access. As part of Title I, so the workforce dollars in Maryland, we have to begin collecting language or preferred language data and LEP status on customers beginning in January of 2019. That's 1 year from now. So what we're planning to do is begin monitoring for our overall WIOA system beginning next January. So that will mean when you have student folders, we'll be looking to make sure if a student signed something or if there was a vital conversation that took place, that was accessible to them. The final implication, and I think this is a big question going forward, especially for sites that do see a lot of English language learners, is what will the resources be to help implement this plan? Dollar is committed to providing support in terms of technical assistance, but also in funding, and that idea will develop over the coming year. One of the ideas we're really looking at right now is helping sites identify vital documents and then centralizing the collection of those and perhaps covering some of the costs associated with translating them. We want to try to ensure that this is done in a cost-effective way. So if there is, for example, a generic LACES form, that all sites aren't paying separately to translate it into Spanish or French or Russian, but instead perhaps we could help centralize and cover the cost initially and then distribute those materials. But that is kind of a fluid idea, but it is mentioned briefly at the end of the plan. So the timeline going forward, I already mentioned that we started drafting the plan this summer. There was input from staff across the WIOA network in our state, and those that were part of the subject matter development are actually listed at the beginning of the plan. We released this for a public comment period on Friday, December 22nd. Earlier that week, the administrators at your sites should have received a memo from Terry letting you know that the language access plan would be released, and it also contained a link to where you can go to sign up for public policy or plan releases from Dollar. So I hope that everybody took an opportunity to do that, and if you didn't, I would encourage you to do that moving forward so that you can see items that come out and offer public comment or offer comment on them while they're publicly released. The comment period closes this Friday, January 12th. So again, I would encourage you to please review it or have someone on your staff review it and send us questions, concerns. We'd love to hear about things that you're already doing. If you feel like you have a best practice to share, that would be helpful. At this time, so it's been open for a little over 2 weeks at this point, and we have not received a single comment from an adult ed site. So again, I'd really encourage you to share your thoughts because we would appreciate it moving forward. We hope to then take all of the comments and have a final document available by Friday, January 26th at the WIOA convening. This, of course, will be pending internal approval here at Dollar, but that's what our hope is. We're going to have thumb drives available that day for all attendees, and I hope that we'll have the final copy available on there for you. But if it's a little delayed after that, we'll get it to you electronically. Last one. If you would like to provide comments on the plan, they're going to Natalie Clements, who works in the Office of the Assistant Secretary. She is a policy analyst and she is compiling all of the comments. If you have questions, you can send them directly to me. My email is available there, or you can send them to your grant manager or Michelle and they can get them to me. And then again, here is the link to sign up for the distribution email list that was in the memo that Terry sent. I think that's it. I can take a few questions if there are any.
If there are questions for Lauren, you can type them in the chat box. If not, we'll just move on and you can go directly to the appropriate folks to address your questions to. And while you might be formulating questions, we'll just move on to the next item on the agenda, which is professional learning, professional development. I just want to remind everybody that this calendar still exists and it's populated, so don't forget to check it on a regular basis. It is you can access it at this website, and I just wanted to highlight some upcoming events for January. That are actually on the calendar with information on who to contact, what to do, where to go, and how to sign up. So there's a group meeting for IET, that's a typo. And there's a CASAS NADP training on the 17th or the 25th. There's the contact information for that upcoming event. There's a webinar on the GED coaching pilot project. On the 22nd, there are LACES training scheduled for beginners on the 23rd and a work group on the 25th. And then in February, there's a statewide meeting for NADP assessor advisors. And keep an eye out for a spring new NADP assessor advisor training sometime coming very soon. So those are all on the calendar. If you click the item, it will tell you how to sign up, who to contact, where to go, and what to do. If you have any questions, you can certainly contact me. And there are also events that are not DLLR directly sponsored. And so there are co-aid webinars on that calendar. There's Burlington English events that are on that calendar. So I try to populate it with things that not only relate to what we're doing here, but also free professional learning that is offered through our professional organizations. And if you do have something you'd like to post on the calendar, please send it to me and I will put it up there as well. And any questions can come to me. I'm gonna Doug, you can unmute yourself if you have an update, or I can unmute everybody. Oh,
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is Doug from MACE. Just want to give a quick update. We're still working hard for our 28th conference that takes place the first Thursday and Friday in May. Right now, we're in the process of getting our proposals together. So a call for proposals was sent out 2 weeks ago. The current deadline is January 15th, I believe, to get a proposal in. So we really encourage you. If you have any proposals for the conference that you'd like to submit, it can be anything that's traditionally adult ed, such as ESL, NDP, ABE, GED preparation, etc. We also strongly encourage anyone that wants to present on family literacy topics, any presentations on IELCE, on designing integrated education and training models, partnerships with other WEO or core partners, One Stop, the American Job Centers, etc. We want to cover the gamut, so we strongly encourage you to consider submitting a proposal. If there's any changes to that deadline, that would also be sent out to everyone, so you would see that. You can find the link to that on our MACE website at macemd.org. It's on the main page, and it's also on the conference page as well. So we encourage everyone to take a look at that. Also, in the next few weeks, we will be releasing more information about this year's keynote, so stay tuned for that as well. Thank you very much.
So here's the time for questions, comments, and sharing. I'm going to take a risk again and unmute everybody. If you have anything that you would like to share? Comment?
Hello?
Yes. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah?
I'm sorry, this is Regina from Strong City, Baltimore. I wanted to, I think I missed it when Michelle was talking about finances. And how do we handle when staff leave and we have staff vacancies that may create additional extra funds? And how can that or not be counted against us for funding for next year? Or are we just required to just spend it somehow?
Okay, so.
Don't laugh. This is not funny. This is serious talk.
Okay.
All right. Before Michelle answers that question, all of the microphones are unmuted, so if you
Yes. And not stop.
not listen. There we go, Michelle. We're all muted.
Okay. So you have an opportunity to request grant amendments up to 90 days before the end of the grant period on June 30th. So that's one way to handle expenses that you had planned for that were not going to occur. If you do not have enough time, you do not have a 90-day window, you should contact your grant manager so that the grant manager can make note of that and you will not be penalized for having not done that. You do also have the opportunity in March to really take a very good look at what's going to happen with your expenses towards the end of the year and make a decision as to whether or not you're going to have unspent funds. If we receive the information in March saying that you're going to have unspent funds, that gives us an opportunity to make some amendments to your grant award. And when we do that, we can also reallocate the funds for people who are looking for additional funds for other projects. So that's the way that we handle it. We're just asking you to be really cognizant of what's going on with your finances. Often we find that people are leaving it up to their finance offices and they're trusting them, and everything doesn't get spent, and then they find out at the end of the year they've got all this money left over, and then we're stuck with not being able to do anything with the money. So it's really not fair to the rest of the group if you're not spending your money, because we could give it to your colleagues.
And I definitely understand that. I'm questioning whether or not it's counted against us if we end up having vacancies in staffing. We then fill them, but the extra funds have to do with the time slot when.
Yeah, well, if you're staffing, if you have extra funds because staff left after the period where you can make the amendment, then that's when I'm suggesting that you just make sure that your project manager knows so that you will not be penalized.
Okay.
Sometimes what you're saying is sometimes it's out of your control.
Yes. I just don't want us to be penalized because somebody, decided to, move on.
We just need to know.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Regina. There's a question on the chat box about the forms for amendments in the original grant document? Where are those forms and stuff?
They're the same forms we've used year after year. We can just send them out again. We can just send them out to the whole administrative list, so you can have them.
Any other questions, comments, news to share? No? Okay, thank you all for being a part of the call, and we are going to sign off on this meeting. You have this information, so if you have any further questions.
Oh, Lord, I can't.